It is high time for a hike, so come with me and let's check out a trail I haven't been on in several years. It's beautiful and there's a rewarding view at the end. All right, it is time for a hike. I'm gonna start right here and loop around. That's Indian Seats, which has an amazing view. And you can do a loop back, you can go further, and you can even go across the street and do a 5-mile loop, but I'm gonna do about 3 today. Today I am at the Indian Seats Trail, which is a little bit north of Atlanta. It's outside of a town called 𝐂𝐿, and it's not too far from where I'm staying, cat sitting for my daughter, so I thought I would come back and check it out. I haven't been on this trail in probably like 5 years, so it's gonna be fun to see it. And it's a beautiful early Sunday morning, so it's gonna be a nice time to get out and hike. It's still cool, even though it's the middle of April. And I'm just gonna get out and enjoy it. It's been a long time, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe I need to check it out. All right, the trail heads this way. I think it's kind of funny because I accidentally went across the road to the main parking lot, which I didn't know was the main parking lot, but it was big, it was paved, it was packed. There were cars everywhere, and I could tell it'd probably be full in the next 20 minutes or so, but I realized it wasn't the trail that I wanted to hike. So I came across the way to this one, much smaller parking lot, and so far I've only seen 2 hikers, and it's such a beautiful day. It's funny how much the choice of your trail can make a difference in the experience, whether you get peace and quiet or crowds. Well, this trail is not quite an in-town trail. It is very close to a major city. So I'm gonna include it on my in-town trails playlist, which you can see up here. And if you're in a city and you're like, dang, I don't know where to go hike, check that out. Find trails that are close by. You can easily find trails that are 3-5 miles long, even mile and a half long, that are really far removed from the hustle and bustle of city life. So if you're craving a little trail therapy, then I would encourage you to just check out the local trails, see what's out there, and go out and have a great time. I hear things in the woods. This trail up to the Indian Seats, which I can actually see from here, is really a well-maintained trail. It's a little over 500 feet of elevation gain, but it does have some long switchbacks, so if you're not in great shape and you're in the area, I would still encourage you to do it. I think anybody of any fitness level could handle this one if you just take your time and bring some water if it's real hot out. am heading back down now, even though I only saw 2 hikers on the way out. There are lots of people up at the top, including a group blasting music from a speaker. Well, I shouldn't say blasting. They were playing music that maybe not everybody would want to hear. I have a confession. Well, I promised I would tell you why I haven't hiked in so long, and it's not because it was winter in Colorado when I left, although that is a factor. We've been in Georgia for 3 months now, and there have been plenty of beautiful days when I could have gotten out on the trail. I thought about going out and actually hiking part of the AT or going and doing some of the 𝐭𝐻𝐻, and I just haven't done it. And I started asking myself if the home renovations were becoming an excuse or a crutch, even if there was a real reason that I wasn't out hiking. And it dawned on me, I have actually been afraid to hike. I have let fear get the better of me. And I actually have a video that I did a while back up here about overcoming fear. I've dealt with it a lot on the trails that I've hiked, the Appalachian Trail, when I was on the PCT for a little bit, on the Colorado Trail. Fear is kind of a constant, and I'm a big believer that you've got to work through it, right? But it was interesting because I just didn't realize that fear was causing problems for me. What it started as was fear of injury, because when I was on the Tahoe Rim Trail and I hurt my knee, I hurt my MCL, which is the tendon that goes from down here and it attaches down to the bottom underneath the knee. I was by myself, and I saw a few other people that day as I was hiking, but I camped by myself the night that I got hurt. And when I woke up in the morning and I could put 0 weight on this foot, I couldn't walk, I was really terrified. And so I think that has kind of created a little bit of a warning sensor in my brain that if I'm by myself, I could get hurt and I might have difficulty getting out, even though I do carry a Garmin inReach so I could signal for help. It just made me kind of wary. And then also, as I was starting to do the home renovations, and a lot of it was painting and scraping and drywall, I was getting down on the ground, I was getting up, I was climbing up on ladders, and I noticed that I'm still having pain right here down at the bottom of my knee. In fact, it's April now, and that was the end of July when I got hurt. And I really started thinking, okay, they told me that it was probably a sprain. I didn't get an MRI, so I don't know for a fact, but I do think that maybe I had some kind of a tear. And it can take 1 year or 2 years to recover from that. So that little twinge of pain that I would have occasionally really started getting into my head. And then I started having all these thoughts about, well, not only what if I get hurt, but what if I'm out by myself and I can't defend myself if I have an issue either with wildlife or even more likely, more scary people, I don't know. So I really just realized that was a bad thing, that I was letting that fear overwhelm me and I couldn't continue. So that is why I'm out here today on just a little in-town trail close to town. So rather than going out into the woods, like trying to do the 𝐭𝐻𝐻 in an area that's very remote, I thought, let me just start out on these smaller, easier trails with more people around and get back into my comfort zone and then see how things work out. When I first started backpacking, I was terrified to be alone on the trail. I just had visions of being eaten by a bear or chased for my food or something like that. But once I got over that, I have really, really enjoyed hiking solo. A lot of the time, when I'm on a longer trail, I have fun hiking by myself and then just meeting up with friends and acquaintances in the evenings. Occasionally, I'll hike with somebody. It seems like, that's a fun thing to do and get to know somebody. But then I'm perfectly happy to go off by myself as well. But for some reason, the fear just really started to get into my head of like, what if something happens when I'm alone? And I don't know if that's an abundance of caution because of what happened or because I'm getting older, or I don't know the cause, but I know it's something I need to deal with. Fear is really not always rational. In fact, I think very often it is not rational because it comes from like that deep down inside lizard brain that we have that just tells us, that sixth sense that says something's not right, be wary, be cautious. And if we're smart, we pay attention to that. Sometimes we ignore it to our detriment, right? At the same time, it can happen, and it could be just like a deep-seated experience that you've had in the past that just keeps popping up and is something that you should actually work through. Fear can also be based in a trauma experience. I mean, you've heard people talk about triggers, and there's certain things that just trigger you to be scared. I know I've had that experience after my marriage. There were certain things that just caused me to have this like almost a panic attack, like seeing a car just like his on the road just made me go, It was pretty awful. It took a long time to get over, and I still have a reaction when I see that, but at the same time, it's not quite the same or not as bad as it was for a while. Sometimes I think we don't even really know why we feel unsafe. I didn't know why I felt unsafe. I didn't even recognize it as fear. It was just like, I don't want to go hike. How come I don't want to go hike? I love hiking. So it took really digging into that reluctance for me to understand that it wasn't just a hesitation or even laziness. It was fear of getting out here by myself and getting hurt, or fear of being unsafe. Sometimes just you have to do those things that are scary. And I'm not saying that it doesn't pay to be cautious. I'm a big believer in safety. I was a Girl Scout and I have that deeply ingrained in me of just, safety first and taking the appropriate precautions. But at the same time, when you let those fears get to you to the point that you don't do those things that are enriching experiences, that you don't do things that kind of stretch you, then that fear is actually harming you versus protecting you. And now that I'm out here, it's beautiful, and I can remember why I enjoy hiking so much, and I'm looking forward to getting out again soon and exploring the area that's closer to my home and exploring North Georgia, Western North Carolina, Tennessee, and maybe even doing a little bit more of the Appalachian Trail. So this has been a really nice hike. I am almost back to my car. I think maybe I've got just a quarter mile or so to go. And it is getting crowded now that everybody's gotten up. I was up here pretty early, and so it wasn't too busy. It's almost 10 o'clock, and there's a lot more people out now. There are people hiking with kids and couples and friends, and just really nice to see everybody out enjoying the outdoors. And it's just really, really nice to be outside. So I'm very glad that I overcame that reluctance, that deep-seated bit of fear that was holding me back from getting out. It's been how many months? Like 7, 8 months since I've actually been out on a trail. I did some local, kind of walks around my town before I left Colorado, but since I've been back here in Georgia, I really haven't been out. So this is a real treat, and I'm going to be getting out a lot more soon, and I'll be sure to share that with you. You'll still get some of the home improvements until I'm over the hump on that. So stay tuned, and I'll see you here next time.